The Xbox Drive is fueled by patrons at patreon.com/YouMeCapri, and I want to thank everybody who supports us over there and give a special thank you to our Capremium producers, Dallas Ford, Drew Agnew from the House of Mario podcast, Jace Baldridge from twitch.tv/Baccaridge, Lee Navarro, the fearless leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team, and Jonathan Brown at youtube.com/GamingPurpleMonkey. Our platinum producers, Brian Scott, Dano, and Trucker Sloth, and our gold members, Argo, Brendan Myers, Dallas Robbins, Emily O'Kelly, Heather Boney, James Johnson, Joel Brooks, Jose Jimenez, Mac Time, Marcus O'Neill, RJ Kern, Skinny Matt, and Xavier Reyes. Now, on with the show. Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri. I'm in my car and you're listening to the most horsepowerful podcast on the internet. It's the Xbox Drive. I'm on a Skype call with my friend Ryan Turford. He's the man on the moose, and on our journey today, I got to play some games on my iOS and it was amazing. So let's talk about it. So jump on in to the Xbox Drive. A little extra for you today.
Hello, Sean Capri.
Ryan Turford, my voice feels right for podcasting today, man. I am all in. I am ready to go. The sun is shining. It's a wonderful day to talk about all things Xbox. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm trying not to freeze to death on this very chilly and snowy day here in Toronto. Yes, it's April 21st and it's snowing here in Toronto like crazy.
Oh, man.
I know.
There's a guy running with his shirt off. I'll actually turn the video.
My God.
It's very nice. Just so the video, you can see like the back of some dude as he's running down the sidewalk here.
I'm so jealous. Again, like people have been tweeting all day with the memes, the Red Dead memes of going through the snow is essentially what April in Toronto is like. So
basically,
it's just lovely outside today. But otherwise,
man.
I'm doing well. Of course, we had a busy week this week, Sean, with Uni and Capri Day last week. Of course, for those who missed the day, of course, we announced a whole bunch of other Patreon stuff, which we talked about in last week's episode of the show, so I'm not going to dive into that. But honestly, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who came out and supported us on Yumi and Capri Day, for everyone new to the Patreon, as well as for checking out all of our stuff. Maybe, I think we had some even people checking us out for the first time that day. So
first time, big time.
Yeah. So definitely thank you for that. Of course, speaking of Patreon segue, if you'd like to support the show, of course, you can support us over at patreon.com/YouMeCapri. Also, you can subscribe to us here on YouTube, youtube.com/the Xbox Drive. Also, you can leave us a little review on your podcast feed of choice. And I'm going to read one of those now from Joey Splats. Sean,
nice.
I don't know if you know this young fellow named Joey Splats. We know Joey.
He's been saying lovely things about you, Ryan Turford. He loves you.
I guess. He says a lot of nice things about you too, Sean. It goes both ways. Anyways, I'm going to read Joey's iTunes review here. Of course, you can leave one on Apple Podcasts as well as other services as well. He says, I've been listening to the Xbox Drive for over 2 years now, and I absolutely love the show. Apart from the two awesome hosts, Sean Capri and Ryan Turford, what sets the show apart from the rest is how much they value your time. Too many podcasts are at over an hour plus, which I refuse to listen to because I don't feel like they value my time. Where these guys are snappy, informative, funny, and to the point, and it's all wrapped up in a small weekly package. Also, shout out to the Crossroads by Ryan each and every week, who is counting down the 50 best original Xbox games leading up to Xbox's 20th anniversary. It's a nice listen, about 10 to 15 minutes each every single week, and I've been loving it. Don't watch if you're on a diet, though, and you're trying not to think of McDonald's. This is not the show for you. Because, Sean, I don't know if you knew this, but you go to McDonald's once or twice.
I go to McDonald's multiple times per day. This is just part of my everyday, Ryan. Ryan, what a lovely review. Also, like a dissertation. That took time and thought and energy to do. So thank you so much, Joey Splats. It helps us in ways that I don't really understand, but I think it helps us grow, man. I think it helps people find the show.
It helps with discoverability, because the more positive reviews your podcast has, the more likely Apple is to recommend your podcast to other people.
That makes
who have never
sense.
seen it before. The same is with YouTube. The more subscribers you have and more engagement you have, the more likely it is to be shown to other people. So that's why all that stuff's important.
Questions and comments and everything on YouTube. I just want to call this out because I don't know if Joey did this in response to my call out, but I put out the challenge to people to get us up there on 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, because the Trophy Room, the PlayStation podcast with Bad Bit and Kyle Stevenson over there, they've got like 150 of these 5-star reviews over there. And we are, Ryan, I don't know if you knew this, we are the #1 Xbox podcast recorded by 2 Canadians while done within a car in the world. For that category, we're the #1 podcast. I don't know if you knew that.
We're untouched. There's no one else. In fact, I don't even think
well,
there's another podcast that really matches that, Sean.
Don't tell anybody. No, there's lots of others that are similar to that. We're the best of those podcasts. But the point is, I think we have a lot of people supporting the show. We have a lot of support. We have a lot of listeners. Get those 5-star reviews up, man. They matter a lot.
Absolutely, my friend. Now, of course, we've dilly-dallied enough. Let's grab our 8 tracks, pop them in. It's time for the playlist. Sean, you and I played a couple of weird things this week, so I'm going to start with you. What did you play this week?
Weird things. I played
weird for us, anyways.
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. Let's start with baseball. Let's start with MLB The Show 21 came into Game Pass day and date. It actually was available a little bit early, and it totally screwed up my entire week. I didn't even know what day of the week it was. But Ryan, I played a baseball game, and it's gorgeous, dude. MLB The Show is like one of the best looking games I think I've ever seen. And I also noticed, just skipping right to it, there's no commentary on this, I don't think, or at least the game that I played one game and realized, holy crap, baseball is a whole heck of a lot of this. You're hitting now, and then you're pitching now, and you do that back and forth a bunch of times.
That is kind of what baseball is all about, Sean.
I know, like that's the game, but like in a video game form, it's just like, okay, yeah, I get it. I get kind of what we're doing here. And I'm sort of a simpleton when it comes to this sort of stuff with baseball sims and whatnot. But I gotta say, as a simpleton, as somebody who's not really familiar with this series too much, I think the last time I played it was in 2014. I love the control schemes and the way that it allows you to choose how you're going to swing, how you're going to pitch, how you're going to like manage your runners and everything. Like I thought that was exceptional. The options are clear, and the way you could try them out was excellent. And it felt very like the onboarding to me felt awesome. I don't know where your thoughts are on this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, and I know a lot of reviewers have pointed this out because today was the day where a lot of reviews for the game went up. That this is probably the most accessible version of the show that's out there. Like it's very much designed with like new players in mind because they knew that it was coming to multiple consoles that it hadn't been on before, because it's on PC for the first time as well as Xbox for the first time.
Right.
So it just at the beginning of the game, it's like here, like you can tweak all the controls for your running, or like your base running, or your hitting, or your pitching, and then it walks you through what each one of the control setups are, because there's like 3 different types of control setups for each one of those things. So it kind of like baby steps your way through that if you want to, or if you already know, if you're a series vet before, you can skip all that anyways and just set it all up yourself. Like I think that it's like, from playing a bunch of sports games last year from EA and now playing this, I think this is probably one of the most approachable sports games for anyone who's new to the genre out of any of them, because it really just, it gives you all the tools to learn that you need to learn to sort of play the game well. And I really love that attention to detail this time around, because that was very apparent to me the very first time I turned this on, because even though I play the show pretty often, it was cool to kind of get a refresher on all this stuff, especially because I haven't played in the last one in over a year now. So, it was cool to see.
Well, and none of the controller options like made me feel like I was choosing the wrong one. Like I feel like when I play NHL, it's like, well, you can have like the control stick or NHL 94 options, and it's like I don't feel like I'm in full control when I'm doing anything less than like that the control stick option. It seemed like this one. It seemed like all the options were going to allow me to play my best game, but not feel like I'm completely like playing a dumbed down version of it. Like my pitching style is more like a golf swing type of deal, and I was completely blown away by that. So I was a little nervous coming into this, because I think it was Marcus O'Neill was tweeting a little bit too that like sports games have gone to the nth degree. That like maybe it's hard to enjoy some of these games sometimes as well. I think NBA is a good example of that. NBA 2K21 or 22 or whatever on. Like I don't even know how to play that. So there's a simplicity here, but still gets that like I'm in total control over this, which is really nice, man. Did you pick the Toronto Blue Jays as your favorite team, man?
No, of course not. They're not my
Of course not.
No. I mean, I'm ride or die with the Astros, Sean. I'm sorry. That's just
Oh, damn. I don't know. Don't apologize to me. I chose them sort of by default because it's like, local sports team.
They are Canada's team.
They're local.
Now that we don't have the Expos, Sean, they're the only team in Canada, So
I probably would have chosen the Expos. Man, I'd love to get an Expos hat or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, they're the Washington Nationals now, so you can pick them if you want.
Dude.
But I mean, let's go. No, it's just growing up, I went to so many Astros games and stuff, and I have so much Astros paraphernalia around that. Yeah. It's just natural for me to pick them. But yeah, so the show, honestly, really love it. And again, I'm going to throw the call out to anyone who maybe hasn't tried this yet. Maybe you were nervous about playing a baseball game, even though it is on Game Pass. But honestly, if I wouldn't worry about that. It's super beginner friendly. Just jump in and have fun. I know. The one thing I will point out, though, obviously, is the games can feel kind of long, but that's just how baseball games work. I know, Sean, you were talking about that, how you're like, maybe 9 innings is way too long.
9 innings might be a bit too much for me. Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know if maybe people can weigh in and let me know if they set it to something different. I know when I play a hockey game, you're not going to play 20-minute period. You probably play like 5 or 6 minutes or something like that. So if there's a setting that other people are using out there that they like, or that seems like you're not completely like handcuffing the experience, I think that would be really good to know. And also, I should point out, Ryan, in my first 1 or 2 games, I got the achievement for I think it's called a satellite. I hit a home run, 450 yards or something like that, meters. I can't remember. And the reason I bring it up is because I've got Robbie Bobby Miller coming after me, sending me clips of all the dingers he's hit. I can hit a dinger, okay? I can hit whatever else you call these touchdowns or whatever, but I don't know. Do you want a drink, Ryan? Are you thirsty?
No, I'm good.
They've got this ad ahead of time now that tells me to download the app. Hang on.
It's too much.
Here it comes. Hi there. Can I just get a large Diet Coke, please?
Yeah, anything else?
That's all.
All right, 280 next window.
Thank you. That's it for me, Ryan. No coffee today. I think just
no coffee.
A nice refreshing. No coffee.
I want to mix things up a little bit. This is what Vacation Sean's like. No coffee when he goes to McDonald's. It gets just Diet Coke instead.
It's hot, man. It's good. It's good.
That's good to know. So yeah, that's MLB The Show. Actually, that's what I was kind of referring to as like a weird game for us, because like us talking about a baseball game, I thought we would never talk about in the show. So that's why it's a little bit weird. But I'm glad that we both decided to give it a try. Also, before I move on, do you think you're going to stick with this game? Do you maybe think you're going to go back to it, Sean? Or
I'd like to try it a little more. I want to try there's a couple game modes. There's like sort of like a be a pro mode in there. And I'm glad you didn't move on really quickly, because I wanted to see if there's, and put it out there, if anybody wants to start a league, I don't know if there's like a multiplayer thing that maybe we get some of the community involved in. Of course, one of the best places to chat with us is on the Discord, which I think we put in the show notes. I'm sure it's at the bottom of the show notes. So join our Discord, get talking about this game, and I'd love to see if there's like a league or something that we should start.
Yeah, I know Joel, aka Falcon, aka Joel Brooks, was looking to maybe start a league at some point. So that might actually happen. We might have a Yumi and Capri league at some point. So definitely look for that, or just come hang out in the Discord anyways, and just because we got a really nice community over there. You can come hang out with us. It's free to join, so you don't have to be a Patreon to come hang out with us. So all that stuff's good. But Sean, you played a game on your iPhone this week as well. Another weird one. So tell me about this game you played on your phone.
Yes, I know, and on the toilet, Ryan. This changes everything. I got the secret invite into iOS and PC xCloud streaming, so I can now play Game Pass games on my iPhone. Finally, I can play it on my PC, which is kind of amazing just to think about. I did the thing where I showed Chelsea, I'm like, Chelsea, like my wife, I showed her, like, look what I can do. I can play this Xbox game. It's got touch controls on it. I don't need the controller anymore. And she's like, okay. And then she kind of went back to the kids and stuff. And I'm like, this is why I podcast, because I can jump on here and at least regale Ryan, and he kind of has to listen to me talk about it anyways. I don't know if you want to hear me talk about it.
It sounded like Chelsea had to listen a little bit, Sean. But
a little bit. But
yeah, actually, I just got my invite. I just got my invite this morning, so I did check it out a little bit on PC, because I don't have an iDevice checkout because I've had Android for years. So that's
so you've had this the whole time. You've had.
I've seen the Majesty already on my phone and my tablet, but now I've been playing on my PC. So the first thing I tried, oddly enough, was to try and play Game Pass games with a PS4 controller, Sean, because it was the easiest way to controller to hook up to my PC. Totally worked fine with the PS4 controller, by the way. All the buttons map perfectly, which is bizarre to me. And then of course I tried it with my Xbox controller. I tried playing some Outriders, some Octopath Traveler, and it runs super well on PC. I really didn't have that much time with it though, because again, it came in at like 11 this morning, and which is like a couple hours before we started recording. So for the most part, it seems pretty stable, which is good news.
Thank you.
Obviously, I'm probably not going to use it that much, especially because, again, I live in a small apartment and I don't really go anywhere anyways. But I do love that this is now a feature that now everyone's going to have access to, especially now that, you know, probably later this year, people are going to start traveling more and stuff like that too. So it's a good feature to have on iOS and PC as well, especially PC too, because like being able to run a game like Outriders on like a low spec PC that has a good internet connection, like that's the dream, man. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and no updates, I think, is probably one of the best things too. Now, Ryan, couple points here. I played Tell Me Why on iOS with the touch controls, which I think is kind of like the sweet spot for me with this game and that experience. I don't know that I want to like sit on my couch and play through. I don't know why. Like there's certain games, people who own a Nintendo Switch kind of know this as well. Like there's just certain games you're like, this is perfect on Switch. And I feel like a game like Tell Me Why is perfect on xCloud, on your phone. And this whole notion of adding touch controls on Game Pass games is totally underrated and underappreciated, I think, in the quote unquote hardcore audience. I think if you open your mind to it, I think they've done a beautiful job with it, to be honest. And if you're playing the right game with it, another game I played for a couple moments was Viva Pinata Trouble in Paradise, as I was very excited about that. I think this is great, dude. I'm really excited about it. I am hardwired on my PC. I don't have Wi-Fi interruptions or interference or anything. And the one thing I will say about my PC experience was it still was a little on the lag side. It wasn't 1-to-1. It wasn't perfect. So I want to be completely open and honest there. But I really do feel like this is something where I'm like, you know what? I've got a couple moments here. I can jump on into my iOS Game Pass, the xCloud thing that I've got there. I can pop that open. And then the only other thing, Ryan, that I would say is it reminds me of how far we've come with the series consoles, where loading is so fast, right? Because these are all based on Xbox One S consoles, so loading times are last gen, and like the visuals, you're not really going to notice too much of a difference on a small screen, but the loading times are back in the last gen.
On PC, I noticed right away with a game like Outriders, where it looks way worse than like even my Series S version of it. So.
That makes sense. So I mean, I'm glad it's here. It feels like, especially on PC, it just feels like what a huge move, and just goes to show like how Stadia, I think, did it wrong, man. Like this is additive to the console experience, whereas like the PC experience was like that's kind of all you had on Stadia, and I don't know, it's very interesting. So many new ways to play. I saw an interesting stat. I think HugeX or Zuge, or however you say his name, Daniel Ahmad, was saying something to the effect of 40% of people who are playing Minecraft Dungeons on xCloud are using the touch controls on their phone, which I think is huge, man. Like it's such a accessible game for so many people, and to have touch controls, I think, is underappreciated because I think most people scoff at them. But I think it's pretty good, man.
Yeah, actually, I think it might have been Windows Central that, or someone else that ran an article really recently talking about how much work went into the touch controls for Minecraft Dungeons. But apparently they worked on that for like 6 months to get them just right. And it has like its own custom interface and stuff like that. Like it's really interesting.
I wish I could tweak the transparency. That's my only thing about that. I don't like, once I know where like the A button is and the B button and all that kind of stuff. I wish I could tweak the transparency so it wasn't so on top of the gameplay screen, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
for sure. And again, I think the touch controls are very hit or miss with a lot of games, like the ones that don't have the custom touch controls. For example, that with like specific in-game actions, I think those really, like the screen gets really cluttered. So it sometimes can be hard to see stuff.
I think I got to check those out. I don't think that is the case with Tell Me Why. I don't know.
Yeah, Tell Me Why specifically has like a custom layout for it.
Oh, it does. Okay.
An example I'll use is like Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is a game I tried to play on the phone when I was trying to do the testing for the controller review. And man, the touch controls for that are just a jumbled mess on the screen, combined with the fact that you don't have very tall sprites in that game. It's just like the A button covering like half the time where like you'd see like your enemy. So like you can't see your enemy because it's like covered with like the A button placement for where you're supposed to press the button to jump, for example. So yeah, it could be a little bit cluttered.
It works in a pinch though. Like I have to say that I'm looking for the games with touch controls because I'm not always going to want to pull out the contraption. I don't always want to do the controller with the mount and everything. I will at times, but I would say for toilet time, it'll be tell me why with touch controls, dude.
Absolutely, my friend. All right, before we go to breaking news, real quick, I'm going to touch on the Resident Evil 8 Village demo that I played this week on PS5. Yes, I know I played it on PS5, but it's coming to Xbox in 2 weeks, so I wanted to briefly touch on the demo. It's this little quick 30-minute demo that takes place in the village, in Resident Evil Village, where basically kind of sets up the story a little bit, where you're basically going to this small town that's kind of under the attack by these werewolves. It's a really cool demo, and I really encourage people to check it out in 2 weeks when the demo goes live, because it's going to be like this weird time-sensitive demo. Because the way they did this for the PS5 demo, I don't know if you saw this, Sean, was it went live on like Saturday night at 8 p.m. and it was on the server for 5 hours. And then after that, you couldn't play it anymore.
So weird. That's like that was like a Nintendo. That's like a Nintendo like Splatfest type of deal.
Yeah, it
or
was
Test
like
Fire. I think not Splatfest. It was
super bizarre. So at least when the Xbox demo comes out on May 1st, it's going to be like a 24-hour demo, so you can play it the whole day. So you can play it at your leisure, rather than like rushing Saturday night within that like 5 hour time frame window, which of course is when we normally have Halo Saturdays, Sean. So it was just kind of annoying to have to play it that way. But I really enjoyed the demo as someone who's been very excited for Resident Evil 8 a long time. Like this just affirmed like how hyped I am for that game. Like it was just, it really reminded me of Resident Evil 4, and I'm so excited that people are going to be able to play this demo soon. Again, I'm not going to talk about details because I want people to be able to go into it, spoiler free when it comes to Xbox in a few weeks. But Sean, I'm slamming the brakes on this conversation because it's 20 minutes into the show.
It's time
for some breaking news.
Okay.
I know. That's why we're going, Sean.
Okay.
All right. Luckily, though, we can kind of skip over a little bit past this first story. This first story is pretty much everything we talked about, which is starting today, Microsoft is sending out beta invites for the iOS and Windows PC Game Pass streaming service. Obviously, the rollout's supposed to happen over the course of the year, so not everyone got updates, like invites right away. They're basically going to be sending out a new wave of invites every single week up until like the end of the summer, essentially like that. And then the service will just launch in full sometime later this year. So make sure to check out your inboxes for that. It'll give you a special website to go to on the PC end, or it'll give you instructions on how to download the iOS app.
It was easy. It was really fast and really simple, which was kind of nice. And the other thing that I'll add there too, Ryan, I don't know if it's going to be the case for the extended future, but it seemed like at least right now, invites were only going to you if you are currently subscribed as a Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscriber. I believe that was the case. Yeah.
110%. In fact, if I remember correctly, I don't know if cloud streaming is an option for non-Ultimate members. I can't.
Right, so it totally makes sense. Right, yeah, like you wouldn't get the invite if you didn't already have access to it through your subscription.
Yeah, it's not like the xCloud initial phase where they were letting people in who just had gold subscriptions, who didn't even have Game Pass, because it wasn't tied to Game Pass at that time.
Yeah.
But now that it's tied to Game Pass, that's why they're doing it that way.
Yeah.
Well, speaking with Game Pass, Sean, we got two quick little announcements for games coming to Game Pass next week, including Second Extinction, which is a game preview, April 28th. So I think that's next Tuesday. And then,
dude, that's awesome. That's a Turok game.
Yeah, it's launching day and date on Xbox in Game Pass, which is pretty sweet.
I don't think I realized that. That's awesome.
I didn't realize it was a thing either until they just announced the date yesterday for that. And then Destroy All Humans coming to the service on April 29th. This is the remake of Destroy All Humans. We already had like the back compat version of Destroy All Humans, but this is like the remake that came out last year, I think. So look for those next week. And then we should be getting another like the May update for Game Pass probably in the next week or two, which excites me because I keep hearing interesting things about that. Next up.
This is relevant to my interests.
Exactly. Next up, the Xbox April update is out today and it adds the suspend game feature while downloading new content to all users, including a few minor updates, as well as unlocking free-to-play games for non-gold members, which we talked about on the show a few weeks ago. However, in addition to this, testing has begun on a new update to Quick Resume that will not only allow you to see your list of games currently in Quick Resume, but will also allow you to remove games from Quick Resume. Sean, I can't believe they listened to us. It's finally happening. We've been asking for this feature
review
since
from the start.
Day one, and I'm so glad they're finally doing this, Sean.
And it looks so elegant, man. Like, one of the things that I was calling out at the start was like, I kind of want to be able to manage my quick resume. And as soon as I say like I want to manage it, it's just like I think about like a task manager on PC, and like I think of all gross types of ways that they could have handled this. And it looks incredible. And the other thing I'll say, Ryan, is like I was about to opt myself back into. I have the option to get into that super intro, like alpha, ahead of the line access to this. But it's like it comes with risks, man. If you're going to be on that insider program, like you could be getting a very buggy OS update every now and then. And so I was like, maybe I'll just kind of hold off. I'm okay with not being on the bleeding edge on this, but I am very, very excited by this for weird reasons. I think the other thing, like you can add it as a group, like you can add it to your homepage and go, this layer down. If it's like if you're looking at your homepage, just one down, you can put it right there. These are the games you've got in Quick Resume, and I think that is absolutely phenomenal. Quick Resume, we knew that there was going to be progression on this, and they were going to evolve this feature. And I just love how a lot of people slammed how Xbox just carried on with the same UI as the previous generation, but I feel like that has put them in such a strong position to just build off of that, and Quick Resume I think is a feature of this. Are you as pumped about Quick Resume additions as I am, man?
So actually I'm excited about it because Quick Resume, because it was a feature I couldn't manage myself, I actually don't use Quick Resume right now.
Right.
Like I actually close every single game that I open on purpose so that I don't have like games running in the background when I want to download updates or slow down online features and stuff like that. So now that I'm able to manage Quick Resume, I think I can actually see myself using it more often than not.
Yeah, big time.
I'm more likely to keep games in Quick Resume now than I would have before. And combined with the fact that we now have the suspend game feature when downloading games too, because I think that was another reason why I kind of stayed away from using Quick Resume. So
well, and it even prompts you, like when you're downloading a game, it's like, hey, you might be experiencing slow download speeds because of this. Press this button to fix it. It's like that's perfect, because I feel like we've had to, tap people on the shoulder and go when they're trying to play Halo Saturdays with us and they're experiencing slow download speeds. It's like, did you know that you have to quit this game? Like nobody knows that. Like that's like a top secret. Like you have to read a strategy guide or something somewhere to know that. And now it becomes much more user-friendly. While you're maximizing your download speeds, you can suspend your games, you can manage your Quick Resume if you want, and if you don't want to do any of this, you can just completely ignore it. You know what I mean? I just think they've done a wonderful job with it.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'm excited to see when that update comes out. I would imagine that's going to be in like the May update for Xbox. So yeah, I'm imagining, especially with the way it looks now, like we're probably not going to need to wait too much longer for that update. So I'm very excited to have that. Well, next up, speaking of things to get at least Ryan Turford very excited. You might get excited about this because I know you've been
playing
Tales of Arise, Sean.
Yeah.
Tales of Arise has a release date. It will launch on Xbox One and Series X and S on September 10th. The reason why I said and emphasize that is because they announced that there is going to be a Series X and S version of the game that's going to have a bunch of new features. They talked about there's going to be like a 60 frames per second mode, as well as like a native 4K, I think, uncapped frame rate mode, if you want to play it that way.
Very cool.
But Sean, I don't know if you had a chance to check out the trailer or like the new gameplay demo for this game, but this game looks awesome. Like I am stoked for this game.
Tell me about it, man. I love it.
I was actually a little bit worried as a Tales fan that they were going to change up the formula too much, because from the initial trailer, almost like they were going for like this open world, like Monster Hunter Dark Souls-y thing, where essentially you run up and beat up monsters and you just whack at them for a long time, and it's a whole, like, there's a bunch of dodging and rolling and stuff like that. But when they released a new trailer today showing off the combat, and it looks like classic Tales combat, where the monsters are all in the open world. You run up to them, it morphs very quickly into a battle arena, and then you punch them with either mixing like melee attacks and your arts, which again are your different character skills, which are very different for each character, because you have multiple characters you can play as in this game, which again, it didn't look like you had like a full party in the initial trailer. It looked like you were just playing as one person, but they confirmed you're going to have 6 party members, and you can switch to them at any time in the combat, and they all play very differently. Like you've got like a wizard character, you've got a character with like knuckle weapons, you got another character with like who mixes like fire magic and rifle shots, and then you've got your main character who's like a sword wielding character. And those are the 4 they've shown off already. So this game looks amazing. I cannot wait for this game again. I'm a huge fan of the Tales series. This is their 25th anniversary this year.
Wow.
And I've been replaying a lot of the Tales games recently for that reason, mostly for the RPG game, but also because I really wanted to go back to them to kind of lead up to Tales of Arise. And dude, I am so stoked to play this later this year. So
I'm excited for you. And also, quick shout out to the upcoming show, The RPG Cave, with Ryan Turford and Garrett Bland. I have a feeling that you guys are going to be spotlighting that in heavy detail coming up this summer, dude.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to do like an entire special on Tales. So look out for that later this year.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Next up, we got some E3 news, Sean. Ubisoft have announced the next Ubisoft Forward event will happen on June 12th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time during E3. That's essentially actually the same time they would normally do it during normal E3, which is awesome to hear. Additionally, Square Enix have confirmed that they will be participating in E3 with quote unquote multiple new game announcements and updates on existing titles, which is very exciting. And
that's exactly what we expect.
Yeah, well, but I put that in there because Square Enix wasn't on the list of companies we read that was confirmed for E3, so they're actually throwing.
Oh yeah, that's right. Remember when I was joking about like who's not there, and you're like Square is not there. I'm like, well, I was talking about PlayStation, but yes, that's awesome, man. That's great news. I wonder if maybe there'll be news about Microsoft buying them. Who knows? But hopefully, I'd love for Square to have a good, exciting year for us. I think they've got good stuff in store for us.
Yeah, I think they're going to have some awesome stuff at the showcase. So I'm actually really excited to see what Square's going to have to show off. And again, I think even though like the tendency is for some Square stuff to be PlayStation exclusive, I don't know. I think there's going to be some Xbox stuff that they're going to announce.
I think so too.
That are probably going to be pretty exciting. So I think there are another company like Konami worth keeping an eye on this year at E3.
Yeah.
And Konami, funny enough, they just announced a new game this week too. I think that's coming to Switch and maybe Xbox down the road. Like I think it's a timed exclusive. So yeah, exciting stuff coming out of
Japan. Bring it back, man. Yeah, bring it all back. Doesn't that feel right? Doesn't it feel good in your gaming soul, in your heart? It's like Ubisoft Forward on June 12th. It seems like that's it seems like that's always the date that they choose. And they always bring it. I think Ubisoft is an incredibly exciting company to look for. It seems like they're in kind of like a reset or rebuild kind of right now. They gave us everything else last fall. All of the games happened at once. It was Watch Dogs, Legion, and then Assassin's Creed and Immortals. And now we're waiting on Far Cry, and I can't wait to see what else they've got in store, man. I think they're a really, really exciting third party to watch out for. And E3's back, man. This is awesome.
Yeah, because we were supposed to have a whole bunch of Ubisoft games out already, including Riders Republic, Far Cry, Prince of Persia, but all those got delayed until who knows when, later this year. So we're going to see those, and then additionally, I think we're going to see some new stuff from Ubisoft. So
I think so
it's really exciting to see them there at the show. And again, if Ubisoft is at that time, I suspect like Microsoft will be like earlier that day. Like probably on the 12th, which is the first day of E3. Because again, they talked about how all the people participating in E3, their conferences are going to happen during E3 rather than being before E3 this year.
Right.
So I imagine Microsoft will probably be like that morning, like the morning of June 12th, which again gets me really excited.
Get hyped, man. Yeah, we didn't get this last year. It was all like doom and gloom and E3 is dying and blah, blah, blah. It's like, man, can we just be excited for this? I'm just so pumped. Bring it back, man.
Yeah, for sure. I'm tempted to book the weekend off from work for that.
Me too. Me too. Absolutely. Definitely.
Yeah. Anyway, Sean, let's let some of our friends into the car with us. It's time for the carpool, and we got a few questions this week. We're going to start with Todd Oxtra at Toxtra, and he asks, now that Xbox is making headphones and high-end controllers, will we see their version of the Backbone or Razer Kishi for cloud streaming on the go? So again, we have a lot of peripherals that is available for xCloud, but we don't have a Microsoft-specific one yet. Sean, do you think Microsoft is going to go down this road, or do you think that they might just wait on this and let all the third parties do this?
It's interesting. I think like in the early going, like I think they've been leaning on their third party or others to handle this. I think that they should actually. I think they really should back this up, so to speak, with their own product. I think the biggest challenge that anybody, no matter if you're Microsoft or whoever, is going to tackle this is just like how many different phones there are. how do you accommodate for all the different sizes and form factors and connections and everything. But yeah, I think it would serve them well to have a first party option. Just kind of goes to show like them backing up their own initiatives. It's almost like having like your own first party games for your consoles. I think they should have a first party option for gaming on your phone. What do you think? Like, I don't know if it's big enough as an option or a big enough market. I don't know.
I could see when like the iOS full version comes out, then maybe doing something along that lines, like the day that it finally comes to iOS in like the full version, not just the beta version. I think maybe that's when they'll go down that road. But for now, I think they're probably content with just letting the third parties do it, at least until the service gets bigger. Like you said, like I think they don't need to rush into it right now. Again, there's lots of great options available. Not only that, but most of them are actually officially licensed and endorsed by Microsoft. So like the 8-bit Do controller, for example, that like Microsoft actually played a part in the development of that controller. So I would imagine that they don't need to jump on this right away, but I think they will probably like by next year. I could see them having like a proprietary like mobile designed controller for xCloud in mind. Like I could see them doing that at some point.
Or a phone, or a Windows phone. They could even do a Windows phone, Ryan.
No, we're never going
or
back
a joystick. Give me the joystick, Elite. Give me the Sidewinder. I want it.
What about a Zune? Got to go back and get a new Zune.
Bring it all back. First party from Microsoft. And their hardware is beautiful. The consoles are great. The Surface is great. It's all they do a good job on that stuff. So I think if it could be an elegant and nice solution, I think that they should do it.
For sure. Next up, Brendan Myers at The Winter Gamer asks, with xCloud working really well, at least in his opinion, and once xCloud starts running off the Series X infrastructure and xCloud makes its way to consoles, will gamers with Xbox One S or X consoles be able to play Series X and S games?
Yeah.
Yes, Brendan Myers, I'm pretty sure that when this feature rolls out, I don't see a reason why they couldn't, because it's streaming. So like
that's the point.
You're not playing from the console. Like that's the point. So I absolutely think that's how that's going to work. You're going to be like a game like The Medium, for example. You'll be able to play on an Xbox One S or even original Xbox One, like a VCR model if you want to. I don't see any reason.
And that's the market. I think there was another. I think it was a Windows Central article again talking about how like that is the idea. There's all these super underpowered devices out there, whether it's an old Xbox or it's a Chromebook of some sort or whatever. Like all these things that people would love to play powerful games on, but they can't because the hardware is. And you can't even upgrade a lot of these things. These tablets, these iPads, and everything. You can't upgrade them. So yeah, like bringing next gen experience. This is what Stadia was selling us, and it's sort of like kind of gone unmentioned, I think, in xCloud land. So yes, that is absolutely the point. I think it'll be really, really huge when that experience gets broadcast to everybody who has that connection available to them.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to be able to run on Samsung TVs, I don't see a reason why it won't. They would limit it for some reason because you have a One S or X. They'd be like, oh, I'm sorry,
or
this
a
is
Nintendo
X
Switch.
Game. We can't let you. Or a Nintendo Switch, maybe.
Dude, they are not being very subtle about hinting at that, with Sarah Bond having it in the background with her GameStack presentation. Like, I feel like it's pretty much a guarantee. We talked about rumors last week. I'm biting even harder on this, dude. I think it's a thing.
Yeah, until we saw the GameStack thing this week, I'm like, maybe there's not a chance at this. Who knows? But no, after that, I'm like, yeah, something's up with this.
Something's happening.
Yeah. Also, if you're watching the video, I winked and then nudged to indicate that maybe that's what's going on. Next up, Blaze Knight at Blaze Knight 0923 asks, do you think that cloud streaming on PC will be a game changer for you or just a nice feature for other people? Blaze Knight, for me personally, I really don't like playing games on my PC anyways, unless it's a game specifically built for PC. Like a game like Magic the Gathering Arena, I can't really play that on consoles, and it's the type of game that makes more sense for PC to play. But if it's a game that was really designed with consoles in mind, or frankly, just most games that aren't real-time strategy games or card games, I prefer to play them on console anyways. So for me personally, I'm not the target audience for this. Just like the Android stuff, I wasn't really the target audience for that stuff either, since I don't really go outside. Or play
apparently you don't go to the toilet either, Ryan. Maybe you could just play it on the toilet. Touch controls.
I mean, I have more important things to do on there, Sean. It's fine. So that's for me. That's just me. I think a lot of people are going to make use of this feature. And I think even though I'm in the minority on this feature, I think a lot of people are going to really enjoy having it on PC and having access to it. Again, like you said, it's kind of like what Stadia was trying to sell you. So I think, definitely. I think it's going to be a really big feature. Do you feel the same way about this, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, my PC is pretty capable as it is, actually, and I also have my Series S connected to my PC for streaming purposes, so I'm pretty well covered if I want to play Xbox games at my PC. But I will say, if I'm ever at a point where I'm like, I want to play this game, and there's a giant update that it's got to download, or for whatever reason, like, I think that's probably one of the biggest things. If there's a big update that I just don't have time to download and I want to play something there, then maybe that's it. But yeah, the iOS update is the biggest thing for me, at least for now. And then I don't know, like, I mean, when I travel and maybe I don't need to bring a console with me playing in my hotel room, I think that might be interesting as well. But for now, the iOS is the big deal. But I'm curious to hear from other people if they've been able to play at their PC. Not everybody has a capable PC, and not everybody has a streaming setup. So yeah, I think you and I are in unique positions versus what this is really meant and what it's positioned to do for people who need additional access to their setup.
What you're really telling me, Sean, is that this is just so many more people now have access to Halo Saturdays because they don't have to have a 100 gig game on their console. And they can just load it up on their PC and just
that's a huge deal. It cannot be understated. This notion of like firing up your console and like I can't play because of this update. You can now go over to the cloud and go like, I know it's not exactly as good as my console experience, but at least I can play it. You know, I feel like just that additional accessibility is really the selling point for all of this xCloud stuff.
All right. Next up, Seumas MacIsaac at Famous Seumas asks, here's a fun question. You have to clean up your entire home for spring cleaning. Just when you're about to start cleaning, however, you get a message from your Xbox saying it'll send a character of your choice to come help you clean the house. Which character would you choose? It doesn't have to be Xbox related. This one's kind of out there, Sean. Is there an Xbox character you would want to clean your house? Because I don't know if too many of them would be good at cleaning.
I don't know why, but the first thing that came to mind for me was the paperclip from Microsoft Word.
Oh, Clippy? Yes.
It's the first thing that came to my mind. I don't know that, like, him using his body, which is a paperclip, is really going to be all that helpful, but he sure seemed to want to help me. I don't know. He might be like any other free help, Ryan, where you're like, maybe it's just better I just do this myself. Like, you know, I think you're trying to write a letter. It's like, actually, I was writing my dissertation. Like, he never really knew exactly what I was doing, but he was a servant, man. He wanted to serve to the benefit of others. So that's my pick. I'm going to go with Clippy.
All right, that's a good pick. I would go with the pinatas from Viva Pinata, Sean.
I was thinking something from that too.
It doesn't have to be a specific pinata. I just want all the pinatas in my living room, Sean, that helping me out and just adding more color to my living room, Sean. More than anything, they're probably not great cleaners, but it's probably better than asking someone like Marcus Phoenix to come over and clean my apartment, Sean.
Probably
or the Master Chief. Like, does Master Chief know how to clean
Master Chief doesn't even fit in my room. He's too tall. He's gonna like bang into the door jams and everything. He's too big. He's too big. He's not. Yeah. All
right. Last question from Gary Gray at It's Only Gary asks, I recently got the 8-bit DOE Xbox controller for Android. Since I've had it, I've been very disappointed with the controller not working properly, and xCloud now has a problem where the screen isn't fitting on my phone right. Have you guys had many difficulties with xCloud at all? And do you think that the tech is ready for the general public? So, Gary, I think this is more of a question for me and probably less so for Sean, but you can jump on this if you want to.
Oh, I will, Ryan.
I did a review, of course, everyone knows, of the 8-bit DOE controller that Gary is referring to here. I haven't really run into issues with the controller, but it sounds like Gary's having problems like maybe pairing it with his phone or tablet. But I didn't really run into those issues. But mind you, I was in a very use case scenario, like a very like small case scenario where I wasn't going outside with this. Like, I didn't really do much outdoor testing because obviously I was reviewing it during COVID. Like, I'm not going outside with this thing, right? So for me personally, in the amount of time I've used it, I haven't really run into any of the problems you're referring to. As far as xCloud, of course, it's always hit or miss depending on your internet connection, whether you're on Android or iOS or on PC.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think,
but that screen
it's
thing
still
is
a work
weird.
in progress, but.
I think the screen thing is weird. Here's where I'll weigh in and just upset half the audience out there. I think Android sucks. I think Android sucks for this kind of stuff. This is why I've abandoned the platform. I always had issues with devices and things and media playing at the right size or aspect ratio. I had problems like that across the board, my friend. I couldn't stand it. And I have my issues with iOS as well. It's not perfect, but I had stuff like this pop up all the time. It drove me crazy on Android. So it might be a phone thing as well. It's possible.
Maybe.
It's possible.
Or it could be something with this Bluetooth adapter as far as pairing the controller, because it doesn't just plug in; it has to pair via Bluetooth. So it could be some wonkiness maybe with your Bluetooth adapter with the phone. Either way, Gary, if you want to, you can reach out to me and we can maybe talk this out a little bit more. Since obviously we don't have a lot of details about what type of issues you're running into. But when I was testing it, because I did a lot of testing with the controller for my review, I didn't run into any of the problems that he's describing, but also we don't have too many details on what specifically is happening. So again, Gary, feel free to reach out to me either on Discord or Twitter, and we can hash it up.
Yeah, we haven't heard much else too. Like we haven't heard much from other people. So in terms of like, is it ready? I think the way that it's a beta. That's the like. I think they're rolling this out in the perfect way possible. But yes, I think you're about to wrap things up, Ryan Turford.
I am. So before we go, Sean, plugs go.
You can find me on the internet at Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like Pants on Twitter, and twitch.tv/Sean Capri. And I would love if people, checked out my other podcasts. You can check out We the Gamercast, which I just recorded with Lord Cognito from the Iron Lords podcast, an amazing conversation with him that we recorded live on Yumi Capri Day. And also my brand new podcast that's powered by Patreon called Sweet Hangs, which is a show, it's just a very loose video game podcast with Donnie Reese from the Xbox Empire. We release that every single week, and you can get it early on patreon.com/YumiCapri.
Very nice, my friend. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. Also, I'm going to plug real quick. I did some YouTube videos this week, just out of nowhere, about the PlayStation Network, about games you should go buy for your PSP, your PS Vita, your PS3, your PS1, and your PS2 on the PlayStation Store before they shut down. Obviously, they're not shutting down now, but you can still go watch those videos.
Yeah, they're flip-floppers.
YouTube.com/Ryan Turford for that. Also, I'm at peak subscribership on my YouTube channel, Sean. I've hit 69 subscribers, which is nice. Yeah, I don't need any more subscribers, but go over there. You can go watch more videos on that. Also, go find us on Twitter at The Xbox Drive, on YouTube at youtube.com/The Xbox Drive, and on podcast services around the globe. So for Sean Capri, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 186 of the Xbox Drive. Only 14 episodes until 200, and we're out. Bye.
I threw some shade at some people, and I'm really sorry. I don't mean to personally offend anybody. It's not really anything about you. It's just me trying to be kind of funny, and hopefully you take it in the spirit in which it's intended, which is fun, and everything in video games is fun and awesome. Bye.